And April, I know, can hear us. Suzanne, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. So now I'm going to share my screen. And we'll go to this screen and share. And you guys can see this online?
Yes.
Yay. So let me kind of give you a quick overview of how we've worked through Moxi so far. When we first rolled this out, I went really fast on stuff because we had a lot to cover and it was going live quickly. Then we had the summer come where we decided to move, and you guys had a busy summer. You were showing, if you had a new listing come on, you had to leave at that minute or you wouldn't get to sell it, right? It would be gone. So we started out this fall or midsummer fall, going at a much slower pace to try to get you some intricacies and things that I think you'll may or may not have gotten the first time. We've talked about Moxi overall. We taught present last week. I know Tulio couldn't be there, but I also saw that 8 or 9 people have watched the recording. So yay, it means the recordings are somewhat successful. Today, we're going to start on the contact management system. I am going to go slow and I'm going to go today. It's more like an introduction. Let's just get a few of the basics down. And then I've got 2 more weeks of the CRM because the drip email can be really complex or it can be really easy. So next week, we'll start on the drip email, how to turn it on, how to get it working. And then the final week will be more about if you want to make an absolutely custom email just for you, how to do it. So today, the CRM is called Engage. And the first thing I'm going to do is pretend to be Brenda. Now, just so you guys know why I'm pretending to be Brenda, their team has a very complex team-oriented CRM that has a lot of notifications, tracking, all kinds of other stuff for a team leader. So they don't use this CRM. That's it. They're not saying it's bad. It's just it doesn't work for a team as well as what they wanted. So as Brenda, I'm going to log in. Has everybody logged into, well, everybody's logged into Moxi at least once, right? Hands in the air. Okay. Everybody been into Engage at least once. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Suzanne. The first time that you log into Engage, it asks you to set up some numbers. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to change that and what those numbers do. But the bottom line is each section of this program you don't have to use. So if you don't care about the numbers, it's just for you. It's your own tracking. But it's kind of cool to see what happens if you do it. So if I was going to set up Brenda's GCI, which is what those numbers are, I want to go to goals right here. And this pops up. And so you'll understand what the cool numbers are. It says at what Brenda said her GCI needs to be, she's already exceeded it in percentage. Or you can click on this and see where you're at in dollars. Okay. It tells you how many closed transactions you've done by buyer and seller. Now, Brenda's numbers are skewed because, she's on a team leader and she gets half of this and that. So don't worry about Brenda's numbers so much, but you can see her completed transactions. You can click on the average size that she has, and her average is 263 on buyers and 231 on sellers. You can see her close rate. Those are kind of nifty little numbers to see. You can find out what your active and pending transactions are. Well, again, because she doesn't go in here and log all those, they're not coming in this. GCI forecast. This will tell her, the buyers and sellers, what she's closed and where she will go based on the numbers. And finally, comparable averages. This compares you to the office, to the MLS. So year to date, she has 36. Again, she's a team. She's kind of different. Our office average is 5.9 year to date. And we're ahead of the MLS by 1 transaction per person. Look at money, 243, 213, and 238. So you can compare yourself against not only the company, the MLS. Interesting numbers. Are they going to make you a lot of money? No, but there are certainly people out there that are motivated a great deal by competition. So this is where you would look for it. So you want to make sure that this GCI goal is realistic. And it took me a minute to figure out what they were wanting. If you look at this little gear that my finger is pointing on here, and you click on it, when you're in the goals, it gives you right at the top the GCI goal. You can also set your commission rate. GCI goal. Well, what is my GCI goal? Rough numbers, and I'm just giving you some rough numbers. If you're on a 70-30 split, okay, you would want to take what you want to make and multiply that times 1.3. The reason is a GCI is the total check in their program, the total check that comes into the company. And if the company keeps 30% in general, and you get the rest, you want to multiply a number times 1.3 to see what the total commission check would be. Now, I know we have caps, doesn't factor that in. It doesn't factor in our franchise fee. You could add that in if you wanted to. But I'm just trying to give you a rough number for your own benefit to see where you stand against everybody else. So if Tulio wanted to make 100 grand, let me get up here. If Tulio wanted to make $100,000 next year, sorry, and he's on a 70-30 split, 70-30, then he would multiply that number by 1.3. 30%. He needs to get 30% more to pay the company. So his total GCI would be $130,000. Are there questions on that, or do you feel like you kind of got it?
That's not, that's not our 1099.
That has nothing to do with 1099. That's the check that comes to Better Homes and Gardens when you close something. Then we split it up and do things after that.
So when you say split it up and do things after that, what if we co-list or we harness fees, so forth, what numbers actually?
Again, this is only for your own tracking. The only way for you to figure out Cardis would be that I'm aware of, is to estimate how much of your business is done by Cardis every year. If 30% of your business is Cardis and you have to take an additional 40% off the top, there's a lot of math that could go into it.
So the check, when you talk about checks that
Mhm.
we get,
Just-
the check amount will already reflect the Cardis fees that are the relocation fees and the split fees.
No, what I'm telling you is, as far as the MLS is concerned, if you get 3% of a gross price,
So it goes off the MLS, not off the-
fully. It's just a way for you to say, am I getting close to my goals? It's not going to give you an Excel sheet type. This is exactly where I am for the year for budgeting purposes. This is more like, hey, I'm getting close to my goals, or I've done it, or so on. So that's what the GCI number means. And it explains here that that's how much total commission you want to make. But the total commission doesn't mean you get all of it, like Cardis gets some of it. Now there's a section up here I have not played with, and that would be commission rate. Because in here, but again, from what I can see right now, this isn't doing all of that, fancy. This is 30% here. Here's your cap. Here's how much transaction fee. This is just more or less an average to give you guys some idea of where the numbers are in here. And maybe you don't care where your GCI goal is. Maybe this number isn't near as important to you as how many transactions, what's my average price, and so on. So I spent so much time on this, more or less to say, when you first log into Moxi, it asks you to put a GCI goal in. And if you're like me, well, if it's there, I got to fill it out. Okay, keep in mind what you're filling out is a rough guideline. And I'm sorry, Lance, your question didn't come through from the microphone. And if you don't want to use any of this, don't worry about it. Make up a number. I want to make $10 million this year. Fine, who cares? You're not going to use it anyway.
So I'm on that.
Microphone.
So on the commission rate, it is figuring, the numbers that are up there are figuring the 70-30 split or whatever.
No, it's not figuring any split at
It's
all.
just figuring 3% flat.
Right.
Okay.
So again, I don't want you to get too wrapped up into nice chart. The meaning of this chart is really just a rough guideline for you. Has nothing to do with counting 1099, your budget, anything else.
That's worked on.
Hmm?
Based on first of the year.
It starts at it's right. January 1st, every year it starts over. And in fact, if I click on that and go back into the GCI goal, you can see that I can change 2022 and I'm already ready to use 2023 or use that value or ignore this section altogether, depending on who you are and how you want to do things. So what do we know? I think I know what we want to do in here. You have a dashboard. You have people we're going to get to, calendar and goals. But now that we've set up what that number is that you may or may not want to use, we want to decide how we're going to use Engage. And there's a section by this little gear right up here again. You click on it and it says Engage settings. We have to tell Engage how we want to use it. Some of it is preset, some of it you can turn on and off, and some of it, those settings are general settings, and you have more individual ones in the middle. So we'll go to Engage settings. And in just a second, this section is going to populate. You can go through each one of these if you want, the way you want to. So the only lead provider that you guys have a choice to is Zillow. And that's because up till 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, a lot of people were buying Zillow leads. Maybe you don't want to do that anymore. Maybe you do. That's your choice. If you want to, click on Setup and go through it. Task Manager. I'm only briefly going to cover this because it gets very, very in depth if you want to do a lot of it. They have 2 marketing plans in here. Well, actually more than that. Marketing plans would be a lead. What happens when a lead comes in here? What kind of marketing plan you may want to set up for other people. And then if somebody's under a sale, buyer plans and seller plans. Now, for the most part, many of you will ignore this. Somebody who's very, very detail oriented and doesn't want to set up a spreadsheet, sorry, Lance, I'm picking on you again, for each client, could use some of this. So to give you a very brief example, if I go in here and mark somebody as under contract, I'm not recommending it, I'm saying it. And then you wanted to say, what happens to my buyer when they're under contract? And I clicked on customize. When a person is moved from a prospect to zone as a buyer, these are the tasks that it calls out that it says you should do and the days you should do them. Again, I'm not going to get real deep in this. If you want to use this checklist, then I will do an entire class just on the checklist. But it requires you to go into your lead and say, John Smith was a buyer, and now John Smith is under contract. You mark him under contract, a list is made. You can add things, but you can't add different things to this custom list easily. You can take things off. Wherever the X is red, you can take off. Where it's gray, you cannot. Doesn't mean you have to do it, but these are where those lists are generated from. Again, this is something I'm just touching on. Don't get too deep into it. The next thing would be groups. There are 2 ways to put groups in here. Anybody that's using the BHG email and you already had groups set up in your BHG email, I mean, true groups, you can verify them in here. So Brenda has Club Wealth, Daily Necessities, Family, Personal, and so on. She did those in her Outlook contact. You don't have to, but if you do, they will sync. Once I look at these and say, yes, those are all the ones I already want in here, then I would click save. And now those will be pushed together with all my current contacts from this system. Calendar, special dates. We're now getting to the thing that I think each and every one of you will want to set up. You have a question, Sandra?
Back on the categories. So I have a bunch of categories in here, blue category, green color category that I have I was drunk one night and did it, or I don't know where those came from.
I
So-
was drunk with you, I think, because I have the same categories.
So is there a way? Okay.
So here's what happens. Sometimes Outlook has assigned groups that you may not be fully aware of. You didn't go in and create them. I don't necessarily recommend you keep them all, but as you saw from Brenda, she had no red, green, or anything else.
How do you get rid of them?
I ignore them. They're in mine and I ignore them because I like the way they do categories much better. And we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. I'm not trying to bounce back and forth. I'm trying to keep in some sort of logical sense. So the special dates that I think you all should pay attention to is, do you want an email to automatically go out when somebody has a birthday? If you do, you have to ask yourself, is this the right message that you want it to go out? If that's not the message that you want to go out, you have a chance to edit it and write in here what you want. But this is also the place where you would turn on the calendar reminders and get everything going. So imagine that Brenda, tell us when you would like a reminder for the special date. I turn it on, and now Brenda's going to get a reminder both in the calendar in here and in her Outlook calendar that in 5 days, everybody that has birthdays in here, John Smith is having a birthday in 5 days. You may want to call him. We'll go into your calendar on your phone, in your Outlook, in here. You can turn that on and off.
Mine only says off.
Okay, you have to click on edit first.
Oh, okay.
This is an auto ad. Turn this on and we'll automatically add an event to your calendar for all people who have this special event in there. You have to decide whether birthdays are what you want to do. You have anniversaries, which would be like a marriage anniversary or whatever kind of anniversary you want. But the next one I really like, house anniversary. If you've entered the date that somebody's bought a house, purchased a house, it will notify you that, hey, they bought a house, 5 days from now. Do you want to send them an email and so on and so forth? You turn on edit, wishing you a happy anniversary on the purchase of your home. Here's to many more memories. Do you want the calendar reminders on and off? How far out do you want to be notified? Do I want to auto add anybody that has a house anniversary that I've got their sales date and their contact? Yes, automatically. Well, I'm not going to do it for Brenda because I'm messing with her stuff, but then you could add it. And so those special dates, and I got to say, I'm not entirely sure it's automatically sends an email out as much as you get a calendar reminder so that you can make a personal message to send to them. Okay, you don't want a calendar reminder that says, dear consumer, thank you for buying a house from me. That's not very personal. So those are the special dates. Notifications. Any questions on special dates? Other than I only half sound like I know what I'm doing, right? Okay. Notification emails. Do you want to get a notification if any of your clients say, I no longer want to get that email? If you do, then you turn this on. If they neighborhood weekly report, do you want that on? Every week I get an email of everybody that has my neighborhood news on it. And it says, these people opened it, these people didn't. If you want that report, you would turn that on. If you say, man, I'm getting overwhelmed with emails, I don't want that one, turn it off. I want to know when somebody unsubscribes. Could be a variety of things I want to do with that information. I may want to call them and say, hey, you don't like me anymore. It could be that I just want to be aware of it in case we trip over each other in public. It may be that they were always a problem and I don't want them in my contact list anymore. Those are decisions you can make. But this is, if somebody gets your email and unsubscribes, do you want to be notified? Subscriptions, neighborhood news. Okay, now I'm going to use my friend Tulio. Maybe he wants 2 messages in there. Maybe he wants English and Spanish, so that everybody gets both. Even though it says English, he could write both in here. And you'll notice, well, it's going to have the recipient's name already in there, so you don't have to worry about it. Here's what the email says. If you don't like it, you can change that. Do not change this link to full report, because that's what they click on to go see it, and so on. And I wouldn't care too much about these sign up links. These are if you want to have your own custom website someplace and you want to get some JavaScript to put on it to do certain things, that's where you'd go to get it. And if you just heard everything I said and said, I don't know what you're talking about, you don't want to mess with that. Trust me. Okay. So that's the setup. Well, we are going to get to that, but right now this is just if I want everybody, this is what happens. This is what the email would say and so on. So we're going to go back to the dashboard for something. So I don't want to cover the whole dashboard because there's a lot of crap in here and you guys go, okay. However, Down here, you'll see my calendar, my sales flow, my goals. Well, if you guys are using the goals and you say every time I want to log in here, I want to see that goal first. That's the best thing I've ever seen. Then what you'll see over here is all of those items in this, and you can rearrange them. So I'm going to take my goals, click on it, move it to the very top. And now if you go up to the top, you're going to see goals is first thing on there. You'll see the second thing is stay in flow. Now, I don't want to get too deep into stay in flow right now. This program has some guidelines that says you should contact everybody in your CRM every how many days. Well, if I haven't talked to this person yet, now I can reach out, I can skip it or mark it as done. That's all I want to say about that. Calendar, sales flow, my listings. Maybe you want your listings at the top. These listings are what you put in the MLS and pull into the entire system, not just this, but everything out there. And if you say, wow, I just listed a property that's not on there yet, give it 24 hours, then you may want to let us know so we can get it fixed. And again, you can rearrange all this stuff this way. Any questions so far about the dashboard? This one confuses me, but I think most of you have had some of this go on. You get a brand new lead. You know you get it because it's on your phone. You hit accept or talk to them. And then you say, yeah, where'd they go? Well, you should get an email. But if you go to overview, I just found this out about 2 weeks ago. In here, you're going to see all your new leads populate there that you haven't done anything with yet. So Brenda added this actually from her phone. But over here, you're going to see that Leads Engine brought in James Hollenbach, because this is one of the things I had to find out. This up here is recently viewed. These are recommended actions. These are your new leads. So when you get a lead on your phone that says, hey, the website says John Smith wants to look at one of your listings, or text BHGRE comes in and says somebody's looking at your house, or Cardis assigned you a lead that you do a project connect, this is where you'll find them. Am I going slow enough? Leads Engine is a back-end program that decide who gets leads, because it can be extremely complicated. Some companies charge for every lead that comes from their internet website. Some companies charge for every text. I don't do that. Some companies decide if it's your listing, I want a brand new buyer agent to have the lead because they need the money. I don't do that either. In this company, you always get the lead from your listing. That would be for text BHGRE, our website, things like that. But if you have your own website, you'll also get leads from that. People will click, I want to see this property. And you'll get a message, a phone call or something, and this is where they'll show up after you click on your phone. And that's the overview. Any questions on that? Is everybody excited right now? No, I see these blank faces out there. Okay.
Be patient with us, Dad.
I'm being patient. I'm being patient. My people. This is one of the most confusing parts of the program, I think, in my humble opinion. They have done so many things to set up and things that will really help you. And yet, the only place you can add groups is right here. So remember you were asking about your groups, the red, the green, the orange, purple, whatever it was in the back. And I said, we'll get to something better in a minute. This is something better. In edit groups, you can add as many groups as you want. Now you're going to see all the ones that already came in from Outlook, but maybe Brenda wants a group named, let's see. I can't hear.
You can delete them from here also.
You can delete them. That's correct. Greg's family, because she wants to know who my family is. And I can create that. Now there's a new group down there. Well, I know there, yeah, Greff's. I don't know how to spell my own name. Greff's family. They have some German relatives back east. West, yeah. That as she's going through the individuals she's adding here, she can assign those groups to various people. So that is the only place I know that you can add them. Microphone.
When we're talking about groups, in my Outlook, I'll have a group that says buyers. And then in each group, I have a folder with all the buyers. So if I were to transfer buyers here, does it automatically pull all the buyers?
No, because what you're talking about in Outlook is not a contact group, but rather what you've done with emails. And so the email folders aren't considered
Gotcha.
groups in
Okay,
Outlook.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let me explain why you may or may not want to use groups here. Maybe you don't care. They've already got buyers and sellers in here. Maybe you want to say people are looking in the country, people looking in Butler County, people looking, you could create groups and it gives you a way to assign individuals to the group you want to filter through. So if Brenda's got 340 people and they're not assigned to any groups, or like Sandra, she says red, you know, that's not going to help her because she doesn't know what red is. That's why you may want to create groups. Any questions about groups? Pam, you look. Okay. Microphone. Microphone.
I guess I need some input or some ideas because when buyers become sellers over time, they become repeat customers. They're investors. They buy a lot. I mean, how do we transition, you know, by stigmatizing them as just a buyer when they can soon be a seller?
Well, bear with me. Right now, what we're talking about is how to make groups of your choice so you can filter through people. Past clients, past sellers and past buyers can then become sellers or buyers because those are already programmed into it and you can change things. So if you have somebody that's past seller, you could look up all your past sellers. You could look up all your past buyers. As soon as you find the one that is, you click on a button and they now become, or you don't have to do anything at all. You can just click on Virginia and say, I'm going to change Virginia from a past seller to this. This is only a way for you to organize people like Brenda has done. I have some daily things that I need to talk to people about. I have some family that I want to keep them in a family group. I have people that are only interested in country properties, things like that, that you can use in your own fashion to go through. Give Tulio. Oh, you're a two-fisted microphone bird now.
I need to go home and go to bed. So you can't put people in more than one group? Like
Yes, you
John
can.
Doe can be a buyer and a
Yes.
seller and an investor.
Sure you can.
And
But
just have
remember,
multiple places.
These groups are just to sort your database. This is not to say you are only a buyer or anything else. Cheryl?
Okay, like I'm trying to think how I would use this. Like I have people that I send a monthly newsletter to. So I would create a group, monthly newsletter. Okay, I got it.
And then you could sort through them If you've entered their addresses, you could say monthly newsletter. Here they are. I need their addresses so I can do a mail merge. It'll give you the addresses and you can do all that.
I don't know if you're going to cover this or not, but if you check that box next to Troy Ann Olson, just check the box next to his name. It opens up the other tabs at the top, and then you click add to, and you can move it wherever you need to.
So I can add it to a group. I can add it to a campaign. I can do a neighborhood news. I can do a so on. Okay, thank you, Lance. So let's uncheck them. And this is one of Lynn's favorite subjects now. You're welcome, Lynn. There is an extra program that I did not sign us up for, and I have lots of reasons. It's called Wave. You can, for extra money, because they charge for this, set up so that you can text or phone from your computer all of your clients in one shot. You can schedule a text to go out from time to time. I have a couple of problems with it. And if you want to look at that, talk to me later. That's what Wave is. But my problem with it in general is it cannot text from your current phone number at all. You will get a new number that's assigned through here. And so then your clients start thinking, hey, is this really you or is it not? So then you have to tell all your clients, here's my extra phone number. And you're going to go, why? I don't want to go through that much work. The other thing it does do, and I wish they could do this for text, is you could be sitting at your computer and say, I want to call somebody, have a microphone in front of you, and talk to them through your computer. They are going to charge you extra, but it does look like it's coming from your real phone number. Again, I go, why would I pay extra for that? I'll just pick up my phone and dial. But I wanted you guys to know that if you want to do some real text marketing, and Lynn asked me about this about a year and a half ago. And I did a lot of research. I even paid for this to try it. All of these text from programs like this, text from a new number. It doesn't matter which one you look at. So if it does that, do you really want to get into, I'm spamming people, I'm not, do they think it's real? So that's what Wave is about. Okay, so for the moment, let's go in and add a person. I clicked on, I'm sorry, I clicked too fast. Let me go back. I should have pushed cancel. Okay, when you on people and you go down, it says add people. Now I'm doing it this way on purpose because I want you to see some of the things you can decide to do and some things you can go back to do. So I'm going to put Ringo, Star, and Brenda's. Now, when you add it here, this is going to push out to Brenda's email. Okay. If you add it in your email, it'll push back into this. So you don't have to type it in 2 or 3 different places. So that's why I'm using Ringo Star, somebody that Brenda obviously knows I'm playing with her account on. You've got to add, well, you should add a phone number and an email address. I have found that you don't have to. Let's see, ringo@star.com. Okay. I could add a second email if they have it. If I know their home address, I can add it. I don't have to. If they've got a way to instant message, I can put them through here. Relationships. Are they married? Do they have a manager? Do they have children? I can add people here. Dates. Remember that house anniversary thing? This is where you would add it. Click on add date. You have birthday, anniversary, house anniversary, or even a custom, whatever you want to put in there. Do they have social media pages? And this is where I'm getting to answer Sherry's question. When I put them in here, I can say they are a business, either personal or a collaborator. Collaborator is what they consider would be like a co-oping agent, somebody else in the MLS, somebody who's not a client. Or I can make them a past buyer or a past seller. I'm going to make Ringo a past buyer just so I can kind of demo where I'm going with this. And when I'm done, it brings up this page. And it starts asking me questions to decide how I want to treat this person. Are they a client or a non-client? If they're a client, do I want to make them a seller prospect, a buyer's prospect, or need none of the above? Well, I click on Create Marketing Plan. Past seller, past buyer, past seller, and buyer, or none of these. Now, to Sherry's thing, let's say they're a past buyer. I can still move them into a seller program when I get back here, but I'm going to create their marketing plan. Now, remember that really complex thing I talked about, marketing plan? You can ignore these. You can do nothing with, you can do everything with them. You can decide that you don't want them to have a concierge offer. So I'm going to go ahead and either delete it by clicking the little arrow, bringing it down and deleting it.
Excuse me a minute. When you put that in as new, it auto-populated a bunch of
Crap, as far as I'm
dates.
concerned, but go
Well,
ahead.
dates. But what if, say, for instance, I'm putting one in now that my listing presentation is actually this Friday. So all of these dates really have no bearing
Right.
on what I need to do and when I need to do it. How do you put a due date somewhere besides having to go through and change every one of them?
You see, I clicked this little arrow next to the date. One of the things that comes up is edit. And then I can put the due date in that I wanted.
So you have to change every one of those due dates individually?
No, you got to change every one. I know, which goes back to when I was telling to you the complex part of the plans. If we had set these up the way we wanted them to back then, we could have set dates based on 0 days, 15 days, 20 days. But to me, the due dates are much less important as to which one of these don't I want to do. So Greg doesn't mail personal notes because Greg's handwriting is so horrendous that my mother couldn't read it. Okay, it's bad. So for me, I would just go, yeah, I've already done that. I put a little check mark there. I'm putting them in here so they're on my mailing list. And every time you clicked one off, it comes down here. Now you could delete it, but realistically, do you need the dates to be accurate or do you want the list to be accurate? So you can go back and forth on how you're going to do this. You can set it up originally to have all the dates the way you want them based on when you enter them. Or, so to give you an example, I have a recruiting hot list, okay? In my recruiting hot list, let me go ahead and save old Ringo here so we get back to his profile. Let me see something. Okay, cancel. So in my recruiting hot list, I have people that I put in the list that I'm just contacting. As soon as I move them from contact to a hot prospect, it's set up so that a whole new list comes in and the old list goes away and a drip email marketing thing happens. But that took some thought process to go through it all. This is set up with some activity plans for you already. You can make it extremely complex, so it'll do exactly what you want all the time. Or you can live with kind of the guideline and know that when you advance somebody, things change and move on. So let's take Lynn's example. She put somebody in here today. She's having the listing appointment Friday. When Friday gets here, if these people list with you, you would change it from potential seller, if you will, to I have the home listed. Now that old checklist goes away and a new one comes in with things to do. This is why I'm trying to go through this really slowly, because you can go down deep rabbit holes really fast trying to get everything that it does. So for the moment, let's just stay with Ringo Starr. And I'm trying to remember where I do this. So Sherry, bear with me. Okay, there we go. So Ringo calls me up on the phone and says, hey, you sold me a house 5 years ago. I want to sell it now. I come into marketing plan because his marketing plan is no longer proper. Ringo doesn't want to live in the house and be reminded every month that I'm a realtor. Ringo wants me to come out and list his or talk about listing his house. So when I click on marketing plan, we're going to make him a prospect. Well, here he is. Is he a buyer or a seller prospect? If he's a seller prospect, this hasn't changed any of those groups that we're talking about. So you may not want to see past buyer, past seller in those groups. You might want to say, this is family, this is that. And I can start filling in, what his MLS number is and all of that stuff. It won't let me save it without an MLS number, I don't think. And now I'm going to get a whole different list. Well, as Lynn said, she's already done the pre-listing interview. She's getting ready to do the list, I'm sorry, I clicked off the wrong one. So you can start clicking these off and saying, when I make somebody a prospect, these are the things I want to do, and these are how I'm going to do it. Again, down a rabbit hole I don't want to go through in the moment. What I want you to concentrate on is getting your people in here, deciding if you want to use groups and make names for them. And then we want to start marketing to people. See where you can add groups, Cheryl? I could click on that and add to the red group, the green group, and so on through there. But this add subscriptions is the one that we talked about. I talked to Cheryl about, 2 weeks ago. So one of the things this does, I'm so on their listing announcements. I'll tell you what it is, and you can decide if you want to get in it or not. Some agents believe that every time they list a new property, they should tell everybody in their sphere they got a new property listed because you're going to be interested that I went out and no, you're not going to be interested. You might be interested in listings that appeal to you as a buyer, but you don't want to know everything that I've done because that's about me. But I do want to know what's going on in my neighborhood because I want to know what homes have sold. So if I click on add a subscription here, I have 2 ways to do it. And this is what Cheryl complained to me about. Thank you, Cheryl. Was to make, instead of an overall zip code, which in Wichita can cover 15 different price brackets, I want to make a very, very targeted search that's just around your home. So when I clicked on the customized neighborhood homes news, you see that it brought up a map. Oh, well, these are the ones that are in that zip code, but I don't want that zip code. I want to zoom in. Now, I'm sorry to tell you this, but Greg really, sorry, I wanted to see what this is, satellite train zone. Okay. Greg really understands maps. I think in maps. I like maps. I taught map training in the Army, reading and how to get around. So I'm good with maps. I hope you are. But you see, one of the things it did is it started in this zip code. Well, I want to zoom out because I want to find closer to my house because that's what I'm interested in. Not always. If you've got the person's home address in there, it will go to that zip code. But that zip code, not close to their house. So I want to go over here close to where Greg lives, and I have to move the map over, and I have to zoom in and out, because actually Tulio and I live kind of close to each other. I live over here. Well, actually in Allen's Lake. So I also know that if I move out here to this neighborhood, it's worth a lot more money. And so is this one than say over here. So I'm going to draw a circle around where I want them to go. And or I could have chosen schools. You could say, I want Earhart Elementary. I want, wherever you wanted to go. Cheryl, you had a comment? Pick up. So I don't want to go to school, but I know that they live close to 29th and Woodlawn. So I would click on draw. I'm going to do a quick draw. I could do multiples. So Lance is my MLS expert. Maybe I know that area at the northeast corner is similar to over here at 21st and Oliver. I might want to circle them both. I'm not going to because that's too much work. I'm going to do a quick draw. And now I'm going to click and hold my mouse and draw a circle around what I'm interested in. That's it. Now, there's no results there because nothing has gone on recently around that. Well, the map's still here. Or did I not save it? Let me try it again. Quick draw. Try resetting filters. Maybe I got to get rid of that. Because it was trying to put that address in. Draw, quick draw. And there still may not be a lot around there, but. I just had to remove the zip code and address up there. And I go next. And it's going, hey, Ringo's assigned to this. Cool. Now, there are ways for you to assign 20 clients at one time to one zone. It's a little complex, and I don't know I'd recommend it because then you have to remember where everybody, and I don't know that I would go through here and add everybody that's ever been in my sphere to one of these all at once. I might do a couple a day. I might do ones that I've worked with more recently. But then I set this, and now it's going to show me what the email looks like. Comes from Brenda, view the full report, nice little thing. And then over here, this is what the full report looks like with all the pricing in the neighborhood, how many days on market. And of course, it's branded for you. Well, I like that at the bottom. Send once a month. Send message. If I want to send a message to Brenda, that's where I would click. So now it's going to be scheduled. It's going to go to Ringo Star. It will tell me when Ringo opens it and so on. That's subscriptions. So to me, it makes more sense in the learning process. You can get really deep in this fast, but you got to start at the beginning to know where the end's going to be. So for me, I would get people in here that I'm working now, and you'll probably find if you've got your contacts on your phone, the Outlook contacts, not your phone contacts. So that's like all your email and everything. And you put them in there, they'll show up here. And vice versa. You put them in here, they'll show up there. I can look at their activities. Well, there haven't been any because they haven't done anything. Yes, ma'am.
If you have them, and I go and look next month at Ringo,
Mm-hmm.
does it say September 9th? Does it tell me what has happened?
It will tell you if they've forwarded it or if they've opened it. Now, I want to caution you with some of that. I'm going through all my little notes here to make sure I've not said. Some email servers, and Gmail is very good about this. If you send an email to Gmail, it says it was opened automatically, immediately upon them receiving it, whether they opened it or not. And that has to do with It goes to their phone. Their phone looks like they opened it. If they unsubscribe, yes, you'll know that because they have to take an action. They have to click a button and unsubscribe. Okay. Last thing I want to show you here. The calendar. This is Brenda's calendar. This is her calendar pulled from Outlook. Any of these check marks over here, the default calendar, the birthdays, the anniversaries, house anniversaries, these will show up here as well. Now I have to remember something, but again, when I told you that the groups were kind of weird, calendars are kind of weird. I've got all this here and I can add a calendar event. Like I can put in here that tomorrow Ringo, let me see if I can mess with Brenda's calendar. Come on. That's not going to open. Sorry. Technically, I should be able to add an event, but it may be thinking or some other things that if I add to either one, we'll go sync back and forth through this. But there's another part of the calendar that confuses me, but needs to be done. When I scroll down to find her calendar here, you can't click on these things. Oh, you can. It takes you to the calendar, excuse me. And I can email him because I said I wanted to. So let's talk about this real quick and I'm done. If I'm supposed to mail James, I click on it and it opens up an email thing so I can send an email from here. Tech Tuesday, it's going to open the calendar and show me what it is. It's at 10 o'clock and who all's attending and everything. I don't know how useful you'll find that or not, but the thing you do need to do is hit this little gear right here on your calendar. Pam's laughing. Okay. If you hit the little gear, you're going to see that you can click on what you want to see on your calendar here, as well as back there. And this is what decides is being pushed out or not. If you don't want all your calendar items to be sent to your Outlook calendar, don't click them here. On the dashboard, scrolling down, you can see calendars over here off to the end. Now that I've thoroughly confused everybody with what I call the basics, because these are the basics, it gets worse from here. Oops.
It's like eating a whole elephant at once.
And I'm trying not to make you eat the whole elephant.
And you're doing a really good job compared to last, year.
Well, last year we were moving, and I broke this up into 3 classes just on this piece because of how complex it can be. So let me give you a quick overview. I'm in my desktop Outlook, and I have a contact that wants to buy a house. Those contacts have already come over here into Engage. I go to do a CMA under Present. You with me so far? In Present, I start the CMA and it says who you want to do it for. I want to do it for Ringo Starr. Oh, we've got Ringo over here in your Engage. Here's his email address. Go ahead and do your CMA. So you do your CMA and you get it all ready. And it says, do you want to send it to him? The email's already in there. You send it to Ringo, and then you want to know if Ringo's opening it and looking at it. So you come over into this, and remember that activity thing that said emails are going out, people are opening them. You can look in here and see if Ringo got the CMA that you made and Present. If you add a phone number in here because Ringo's wife wants to know, then in your phone, you have the phone number from Ringo that you put in here. It's all working together so that you don't have to go to 17 places. With that kind of complexity, sometimes you do have to eat the whole elephant to start. If Ringo forwards the CMA to his brother, you get to know his brother's email address and where it was forwarded to. Did the brother open it? You're starting to be able to build your sphere a little bit more because of how they, now you don't have to. I mean, I saw Pam's work like, I don't want them to send it to my brother. Okay, I get that, but yeah, because I hate it when I look up a camera on Amazon, then I go into Target and it says that camera's around the corner. and
No, I mean, really, because this system, I tie my email into it. All of a sudden, that system has far-reaching technology capability to track where everybody sends my CMA to from the point it
Yes.
starts.
Now, let's back that up a little bit so you worry so much. The system does not do anything with the information except to provide it to you. If you leave or turn off your email, all your contacts and everything goes away. I don't get access to it. Moxie doesn't have access. But if Pam says, hey, these people are sending the email to 3 other folks, they might be really interested in it. I'll call them up and say, hey, what'd you think of the CMA? Let's talk about it some more. You don't have to do anything with that information.
Who are you calling?
I would call the homeowner, the one I sent it to
Right, you're
initially.
not calling the people that
No,
homeowner
no.
sent them
No.
to, but you're just calling to see what kind of feedback they got,
Right.
fishing for additional information.
Right. This is only for you.
Okay.
Where does that information go? Where do I find that information?
Microphone.
Where does that information go? Where do I find it?
Remember when I said overview?
In the people tab.
It
under the-
comes up and it's got recently viewed, recent activity, those kind of things, recommended actions. Or you can look at the people you have and find it. I don't remember everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
teaching kind of, so let me go back and find that and I'll know the answer in a little bit.
Okay, no worries.
Because it took me a while to figure out where, your new leads came from. I didn't know that either. And it may be an overview now that I think about it, or dashboard. Stay in the flow, activity feed. See, this would be where, because Brenda doesn't use it, this activity feed would show somebody read your email, somebody opened this, somebody opened that. Okay. Again, I don't want to get too deep in a lot of this because you have to go through it by step. Pam, you had?
I'm just curious because I took a peek and I've got people already in that I didn't enter. So it's pulling from somewhere and you probably set that up. Is that correct? That's where these names, I got some names in here I don't recognize as well. So
We set up the company email so it would automatically import for all of you. If you don't use company email, if you've got a Gmail or something your own, it's not pulling it in.
But if our Gmail pointed to our better KS.
Then it will pull. Yes.
well, that begs a question because as we talked, I have the Gmail account. And when I went to I did something and it was like, which email do I want to pull from? And then it wants to point its arrow to my Gmail account, which means it's going to pull everybody to my Gmail account, which means I'm going to open the door to it, to my Gmail account, correct?
You are opening the door, but the privacy and that kind of things that they've signed with us contractually means they're doing nothing with that. It's just for your benefit.
Right,
Right.
okay.
The last thing I'm going to show you is what I would call overachievers. Because I wouldn't do this. If I go into people and my people, and I'm determined that I want to go through every contact I have, and I want to categorize them as a client or non-client. For me, I have so many contacts in there that I don't care. I wouldn't do it. I will do it for the new people I add because I would rather build going forward. But if you're an overachiever and decide, I want every one of these people in here categorized because that's the best use of my time. How's that, man? Best use of my time. Then you can go to this categorize wizard. Now, if I had a fine assistant like Sherry does, I would look at Amy and say, you have until Thursday at noon to have this completed. You're welcome, Amy. When I clicked on that said categorize wizard, it starts bringing my people up that have no categories. And I can say, well, this is an address and these are docs and they don't help me much because these are Brenda's people. But Adam from Phoenix is a mortgage guy. Well, mortgage guy is a non-client. Is he personal, collaborator, or for Pam, removed from Engage? So at any time, if you have people in here that you don't want in part of this system, you can remove them, and it does not remove them from your email contacts, only from Engage. But for Brenda, I'm going to say this is a collaborator. Okay, I'm done. Let's show me more. And I'm going to say, let's find somebody that looks like they could be a client. Okay, Adrian Cazzaro. Now, again, what I'm doing here doesn't affect Brenda's Outlook at all, so I'm not too worried about it. If I say this is a client, well, are they a buyer's prospect or a seller prospect? And if they're neither, let's create a marketing plan. Are they a past seller, past buyer and seller, or none of these? Well, they bought and sold with me. I can create the plan from here if I want, and I'm done. Now, again, to me, this is kind of overachieving. If I've got somebody in here I worked with 10 years ago and I haven't heard from them since, do I really want to do all of this for that person? On the other hand, let's see who can answer this question. When do you remove somebody from your database?
When they,
Go ahead.
I have somebody I have it that was transferred, she passed away. So other than, well, let's talk about family connections.
Yeah, but does their family have their email
Well,
access?
no,
Yeah.
but
So the answer is when they never or they die is the only two answers I've heard were proper. So even though I've done a marketing plan, I'm not doing anything with that marketing plan. I just put them in here as now I have them designated. And you could go through all of this
Okay.
and do that.
So when you click marketing plan is ready to go, so how do you know, is there something that's being sent to them then once you click?
There
that?
is nothing being sent to them because I haven't taught you how to set that up yet.
I was just going to ask, is there a way to build your own marketing or sales plans, task plans? Is there a way to, because I mean, under the settings and task manager, and it gives you marketing plans, lead marketing plan, and then under sales plans, buyer plan, seller plan. Is there a way you can add your own?
I have not done that in depth. The answer is maybe. I know that we can set up your own initial marketing plans based on theirs. There are some things about the marketing plans I really don't like. So for example, I think it says dot loop in there or something like that. You should set them up. And that one is starred such that we can't remove it. And I've asked them specifically, can you remove dot loop for us? And they said, no, just click it off. And I'm going, but I don't want all of my company to think that we're using dot loop just because it's in there and I can't fix that. So I don't know. I believe so, but I've never tried to set one up as an agent. I'll have to take a look at that. And if you find out something before I do, let me know. But back to Lance's question, which is a good one. If I'm over here where he was at, clicking on the little star up there and looking at engage settings, this is going to populate soon. That's better. And that would be task manager. Okay. And Lance is here. Well, he can customize them. I don't see how to add one, but Lance can go into this little help thing and say, I want to set up my own plan. How do I do it? And you can either email them, look at their help menu, or you can chat with somebody. I suspect what they're going to say is no, they don't have a program set up for that, but Lance could take one of the buyer plans and customize it for him. This only changes him. He could change the dates, as Lynn was asking, what day do I do it, and so on. He could add more tasks that would be put in here so that all of his buyers would then have all of these additional tasks. And he can take out most of the tasks. See, they don't let you take out that one. I hovered over the gray X and I can't remove that. I can take out the schedule the meet and greet. I can take out conduct meet and greet. I can't take out create buyer's presentation. So he can customize it up to a point. I don't know about creating them from blank. That one I'll have to find out. Right. And I will tell you also, I was trying not to get too deep into this. They have a lot of tasks in here that they've added for you, so you don't have to write them all out. Some of them you might go through and, oh, I never thought of that. Let me add that one. And you can search them at the top. Let's say, well, just as an example. No results found. Let's try staging. Oh, I had a D stage there. So you can search through these and get them. And again, I wasn't trying to get you guys too deep into this. This is more for, again, those people who are hyper, Okay. So what sounds like reasonable homework? Come back with your eyes open next week. Is that enough? Because you're all going, huh, I'm cross-eyed? Or I'd at least like you to log in and see if you've got contacts there. If you want to work on designating them, great. If you don't want to, don't worry about it. See what your calendar says. Just kind of get comfortable with the thought of working through this. But my bottom line was, and then we'll go, I wanted a program. Let me stop sharing. I wanted a program that talked to lots of pieces so you didn't have to. And that's kind of what we're getting to.
And that makes sense. I mean, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's just the learning curve.
Oh, the learning curve sucks big time.
And we're old. We just don't learn all these.
Some of us are older than others. So just kind of get used to it. Use the parts you like. Like I really like Present a lot. Present works for me great. I like the kind of neighborhood news thing. I don't like that I have to go in and circle a bunch of neighborhoods so I can get them up. On the other hand, how much work do you do keeping track of people? And if you're not sending them something every so often, are you losing out? So that to me seems like time well spent. Pick up the microphone, Cheryl.
Would it be smart if we had some review lessons, like give us a chance to go play with this, but then everything you've taught us, like maybe just even start over and do it again, just so we can.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be teaching this on for a while. I'm trying to keep people do it at a pace that you can learn at and still not lose people who are going, oh, So we also are recording these all so you can get them. Remind you that Thursday, we have a class that you're part of on shift or get off the pot because the market's shifting. And we've got a panel of 3 or 4 people that are going to say, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years and here's what I've lived through. And these are things that change from the market we've just had to the market that, so we've got a good panel. And the final thing I'll say, and then I'll answer your question, is they're putting the sign in out front as we speak. So our sign's finally going up. Okay, yes, Lynn, you had a question.
Okay, I have done a custom new neighborhood news
Uh-huh.
for my new listing that I'm hoping to get,
Okay,
as just to give her an update before I actually meet
Sure.
with her. At the bottom, it has all of my contact information, my licensure, my phone number, my everything.
right.
But then it has a spot that says reach out for a breakdown of what this means for your home or home search, a place for name, email, all of my information again.
Uh-huh.
And I think first off, I think it's redundant. Secondly, I can't edit it. So I can't put any of the information that they're wanting in because I would like to send her a message, but I can't edit it.
I think at the bottom you can't. When it sends them an initial email, you can edit that email. But on an ongoing monthly thing, you don't want to add a bunch of stuff to it. And no, it's very templated. You can't edit it. Okay. So I'm going to stop recording unless Suzanne or April has anything to add.
Nothing for me, thanks.
Okay. Where do I stop recording? Right there.